The following is an exclusive presentation of WI Garden Media. This is Time by the Tent podcast with your host, Joey and Holly Baird. Coming up on the program today, we're going to go over what you should look at if you're going to buy land, some of the things that we are learning, as well as going on a hike, what do you really need to take? And our guest this week is Dale from YouTube channel 5 Bites. So join us. Welcome to Time by the Tent. I am Joey Baird. Next to me is my co-host, best friend, and camping partner,
Holly Baird.
This program is for you to help you have more enjoyable camping. You want to be part of the program, you can certainly do that by sending us an email to twvgshow@gmail.com. This podcast is about camping, public, private land, hiking, outdoors, land ownership, and more. Thank you for tuning in, whether you're listening to us through a podcast replay app or on YouTube. Thank you very much for doing that. You can find all past shows and podcast segments and YouTube videos at our parent website, which is the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com. At the camping, top of the page, Camping and Camping Podcast, we have a YouTube channel in the same name, Time by the Tent. You'll just search Time by the Tent channel and it will come up. So let's get into the program. Or if you want to give us a call, you can do that too at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-7469. And we'll get in the program here about buying land, Holly.
Yeah, so this is something that you and I are going through right now.
Yes.
So we recently got approved for a land loan.
Well, let's go way, way back.
Way back.
Yeah. We looked at purchasing. We wanted to purchase land early a year ago.
Right about a year ago.
Right about a year ago. So we didn't know what we didn't know, and we started looking at land on realtor websites. Found some that we liked, and then we didn't have the bucket of cash that's needed to purchase full price. So then we needed to look for a loan. Now you can go through your bank, and certain banks or credit unions, is that right?
Yeah.
There's only certain ones that will allow a loan to be given to you if you are trying to buy what is called raw land. That is just nothing's on the land or minimal. There's no, maybe a cabin on it if that, but basically raw land. At that point, most of those would require a 20% down payment. There are specific loan offices that are here based where the program is originating in Wisconsin. I'm sure there's other places in other states where this is all they focus on, is getting loans approved for people with a 10% down payment. That they're land loans. That's all they do. It's like whenever people sold Kirby vacuums, there are offices that all they did was Kirby loans. That's all they did. And then there's car loan companies. So that's what we did. We searched for and we found a company that would provide we needed to provide 10% down instead of 20%, which was better. And you can take it from there. We attempted to get a loan at that point a year ago.
Yeah, so we didn't get approved. We had to...
they didn't like things that was on our credit report, and they said that here are some things that you need to fix, and then once you get these things fixed, then come on back and we will make another run at this.
So we worked really hard, and we got those things fixed.
Yep.
And then a couple weeks ago, we reapplied, and we got approved.
Now, with these loans, at least... your mileage may vary, but for us, we have 60 days from the time the loan was approved and to use it. If we don't use it, we lose it. Now, there is a clause in that in which that can be extended if we're actively looking for land. It's not like we're sitting here and doing nothing, waiting for the magical land to come. But we did talk with the office, and they said that if once we get closer, if we still haven't made a move, we can extend that out a little bit farther so we don't lose that loan.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like, an extension.
An extension on it. Okay, so whatever before you even get, that's what you need to know up to that point. If you're looking at land, you want to know what you could afford And then you want to go to the loan office and go and say, here's what I want to try to get approved for. 60,000, 100,000, 200,000, whatever that number is. And then they will let you know if they can approve you with 10% down or 20% down or whatever that requirement is. So we are at that stage where we have the approval and we have a certain time frame in order to fulfill that approval. Now we know what we're looking for, and that's the key here. You just don't want to go, hey, I think we should buy land. Let's see if we can get a loan for $120,000, and you don't really have a clue what you're really looking for.
Yeah, so I think, maybe you might have an idea in mind of what you want, but I think first, before you apply for the loan, is to think about, okay, I want maybe approximately this much of acreage. Obviously, what I'm going to do with the land. For us, it was a matter of how far we wanted to drive because of where we're located. Anything within, an hour or two is very expensive.
Right.
And then as you go a little bit further out, then it becomes less expensive.
Yeah, you're looking at $100,000+ cheaper by going an hour and a half to 3 hours. Well, 2.5 to 3.5 hours farther north. It's $100,000 to $150,000 cheaper for the same amount of land that's close to our residence.
Right. Now,
so you might want to go on the realtor site and kind of look and see what's available to go, hey, I kind of would like that. I kind of would like that. And then put your wish list together and then kind of see what the value that you could afford.
And also, maybe you have a town or area that you like, or maybe you have an area that you are willing to drive 5 to 6 hours away because you want to be in that area. And you know that you're not necessarily going to utilize it as much as maybe we are or somebody else. But so those are things you want to think about, what you can afford. And then also, obviously, if you are putting 10% down, that you can get the 10% down, however that may be. Well,
and you talk about distance. We've had Terry from Tree Run Wild. On his residence to his land is 3 hours. There is a YouTube channel that we watch, Joe and Zach Survival, from their residence, based on which home that he is staying the night. It's between 2 or 4 hours up to their property. So this is, the ideal situation is, it's 40 minutes down the road, but that's not the reality. You all want to, get done and then run to the property and enjoy a night or two on the weekend. But that's to do that, you got to have some very, very deep pockets in order to afford the land that's relatively close to your residence. So you don't have that journey of 2 or 3 or 4 hour drive.
Right. Yeah.
Terrain. Let's talk about terrain for a minute here.
Yeah. So this is something that I think is important to bring up because depending on where you live, what state you're in or region or whatever, you might have varying terrain. In Wisconsin,
it's built in a bowl.
It's almost like it's almost like a bowl. There is a lower land in the middle of the state, and while there are some terrain variances, for the most part, there's a lot of wetland. And that's how Wisconsin is.
The 40, 60, 80, $100,000 pieces of property, there's always some percentile of wetlands, and there are variations of wetlands in that. But the more expensive, the $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $700,000 pieces of property of the same acreage, those are the highland. And it's very expensive to get all highland, at least in this state.
Now, when we say wetland, it doesn't mean that when you walk on that land, it's going to be
up to your hips.
Yeah, marsh or a bog. It just means that it does support wetland vegetation. If you have a rainier year, it may be a little bit mushy, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it is literal bog or marsh.
So there's topographical maps, there's DNR maps that show wetland. The realtor site shows what's flood and what's not, which is not always the most accurate, but you want to figure that out. Also, another thing that we have figured out and understood better is MFL land, management forestry land, and that in some states that doesn't exist. What is MFL land, Holly? So
this is it's called the managed forestry law.
Okay.
So
MFL.
I don't know when this occurred, when it started, but it's probably within the last, I think, 20 years, because a lot of the pieces of land that we're looking at have been in the program for about 20 years, and they're 25 to 50 year increments of being in the program. And so what it is basically these lands are near some sort of forest and
national forest, and you enroll in the program. If you have this land or the land is enrolled in the program, and whoever owns the land pays reduced property taxes. Significant.
Yeah, significantly reduced. But then you have a responsibility where you have to maintain the land, and you maintain the land, and you think, oh, that's easy, but you actually have to hire a forester, and if you purchase the land, you and the forester...
This is in the state of Wisconsin now, so your mileage may vary, but this is what we're going through, so be aware.
You and the forester... Mostly the forester comes up with a plan for your land, the land plan. And you do have to hire the forester. That's out-of-pocket cost to you. From what we understand, it's not a terribly high fee, but you have 1 year from the time of purchasing the land to get this plan completed.
Now, the plan, the MFL is either open or closed, and that means two totally different things as well.
Right. So let's talk about the MFL first, and
okay.
We'll talk about open or closed.
All right.
So once you have your forestry plan, probably about every 10 to 15 years, you do have to have a lumber milling... Logging, thank you, company come out, and then they would... chop down some trees. Strategic trees.
It's not a cut dry like you see, what do you call it? They just
clear cut.
They don't do that.
No, strategically cut down the older timber.
And you get paid for this.
But yeah, kind of. So they come in, they cut down the timber, and then they would plant more trees or whatever they need to do. Then they take it to the sawmill or the paper mill, whatever, sell it, and then they get a cut and you get a cut.
So you do get a little bit off of this. And in that program, you are allowed to do whatever you want on the property up to 8% of the acreage. So let's say 48.
It's 20%. Maybe it is 8%.
8%. Okay. So let's say for 40 acres, 8% of 40 acres is, or 8, what is it? Yeah.
I don't know. My brain can't math right now.
8 acres off of 40 acres is, we're looking at 40 acre blocks, because I know agriculturally that's a quarter by a quarter. If you walked the perimeter, that would be 1 square mile. So you're allowed to do, on a 40 acres, you're allowed to do whatever you want to 8 acres without any cause of penalty through the DNR. That is a lot of acreage to do whatever you want. That's the equivalent of like 74 basketball courts. So that's a lot of trees and a lot of stuff you can do and not have any issue. So there is that. And now let's talk about the open and closed aspect of this program.
Yeah,
I guess is the best way to go about this.
There's open MFL land and there's closed MFL land. So MFL land that is closed means that you can put up no trespassing signs. If somebody is, for whatever reason, they wander off the forest boundary and they know it's public land.
Because that's what MFL land is.
It is public land. And so when it's open, it means that they could come and hunt on your land. They could cross-country ski through it. They could hike through it. If it's closed, then... they cannot do that.
But if it's closed, you still have the tax deductions or reduction in it, but you still have to do the requirements of having a forester come in and manage the land. But it's your land, but you're just, at that point when it's closed, you pay a fee and it prevents other people from coming on and doing whatever they want. Hunting, fishing, hiking, skiing.
Right. So... yeah, so once you buy the land, you can have it closed, or I guess you could have it open.
Leave it open or open up.
Yeah.
And that's on a calendar basis.
I don't think anybody buys closed land and lets it open up.
You don't know. Yeah, right. But that's on a calendar basis in Wisconsin. That if you buy in the summer, that's still it's still open and people can still have access to it until the end of the calendar year. But we don't know how realistic that is. If they see a camp set up and they see activity, if they're going to go, oh, we're going to hunt there anyway. I don't know. And there's hundreds and thousands of acres too.
That's the thing, is that it's kind of gray area, I think. But if I was personally, if I was hiking a state forest, or a national forest, I would stay on trail. If I saw no trespassing sign, I would go the other way, because I don't want to take a chance that you don't know what that person has on their property.
And before we get out of this segment, let's talk about plot numbers, parcel numbers. Because just because the little dot on the realtor site says this is the property, that doesn't mean it's the property. You've got to go off the parcel number that is typically listed either in photograph or in documentation on the realtor site. And then you go to the state plot or parcel website and punch that in, and then to verify that those two match up. And about 80 to 90% of the maps that are on the realtor site, the parcel number does not match up with the dot on the screen. It's either the adjacent one or it's down the road a couple of miles. And we found that out. We'll tell the story because our realtor knew what we had done. We were looking at a piece of property. We drove 3.5 hours to look at a piece of property. Looked at every map possible, the parcel map, or the DNR map, the realtor map, Google Earth, the whole thing. Liked what we saw, went up and looked at it. The numbers were right, but the property was the wrong property. We had gave the right parcel number, but it was the adjacent property, which was basically to a certain extent landlocked, and it was not identified as that anywhere on the realtor. And on these realtor sites, it doesn't have to say, from what we're finding out, it doesn't have to say that it's in MFL or open or closed. That stuff you have to find out on your own. There's a lot of questions you have to ask.
Yeah, it's almost like a part-time job.
Yeah. And it was a beautiful property we trespassed on.
But for anybody in Wisconsin, the Department of Natural Resources is highly organized, and they have
answers to every question you have. Yeah.
Absolutely. So shout out to the DNR. You've been my homie for a long time. So, yeah.
So if you got any questions about buying land or what you should do, or we're not realtors and we're not giving realtor advice, we can only share with you our experiences, but we will help you out in however means.
Let us make the mistakes for you.
Yes.
Hopefully not many more mistakes.
Yeah. twvgshow@gmail.com. You can reach out to us and we will help you with your question. Hey, when we return, are you going to go hiking on your property or at a state park? What do you need? We'll talk about that. You're listening to Time by the Tent podcast. Goodbye, biting bugs and plant invaders. No More Bugs by Natural Green Products is your answer. A product pioneered by the USDA and 14 years in business, No More Bugs has been the favorite by consumers across the country. More than a repellent, it is safe for you, your pets, your plants, and your home. Visit nomorebugs.net for free shipping on orders over $50. Use coupon code FREESHIP4ME. That's free ship, the number 4, me.
Grip 6 produces American-made products with sleek designs and quality materials. Based and manufactured in Utah, they have a high quality and durable products to last a lifetime. They're built beyond tough. Their wool socks come from the Rocky Mountains, and even for the most sensitive toes, these socks are made for everyone. High-quality wool socks make a huge difference for happy feet. You can wear them around the house, daily, to the outdoors, to the garden, etc. And we are glad that we made the switch ourselves because they are incomparable to any other sock we have worn. Designed and manufactured in-house for the best results and quality every time. When you purchase from Grip 6, you're supporting long life cycle products and American-made manufacturing. Check out their belts, wallets, and socks at grip6.com and coupon code radio15 to save 15% off your order at grip6.com.
If you're in the upper Midwest, head over to Fleet Farm, where you can find everything you need, from tires to tree stands, drills to dog food, and toys and tools. They've got it all. You can save even more at Fleet Farm when you join their Fleet Rewards loyalty program. You get exclusive offers, and it's free to sign up. Get everything you need at one low fleet price. Shop in-store or online at Fleet Farm at fleetfarm.com.
Wind River Chimes creates a symphony in any space. Chimes that are inspired by nature and designed to make the natural world even more inspiring. Music speaks to everyone. Individually handcrafted in Virginia for over 35 years and hand-tuned for exceptional precision and lasting beauty. Because in life, the winds of change are always moving. But no matter where they carry you, Wind River Chimes is always inspiring harmony. With a large selection and customization options, you'll find the sound that soothes you. Visit windriverchimes.com to find out more.
Welcome back to Time by the Tent. Happy you are with us. Happy you've downloaded the program or watching it on YouTube. Thank you very much. I'm your host, Joey Baird. Beside me is my wife, co-host, best friend, and camping partner,
Holly Baird.
There you go. So we're going to
We need our camp names.
Oh, camp names?
Yeah.
I don't...
We need to work on that. So
Okay.
you can say Joey Baird, a.k.a.
Okay.
Sharp Rock.
Uh-huh.
And then I can be a.k.a. What's my camp name?
I don't know. We're working on hiking right now. That's what
I want a camp name.
We'll get you a camp
All right.
name. So we're going to talk about hiking. Now, hiking can mean many different things, and some people may feel that camping is a very elaborate activity that requires multiple pieces of equipment, and others it's just a walk in the woods. Holly, you are an avid hiker, so why don't you share kind of what the equipment is that you think people may need versus what is overkill? And where do you hike, first of all?
I hike in state parks.
Okay.
I hike in county parks.
And state parks, you need a permit in the state of Wisconsin in order to access the property. Is that correct?
Yes. And you also sometimes need a trail pass, but I think that's only for cross-country skiing. You'd have to look.
Okay.
But not just it's not for hiking.
Based on your state.
Yeah, based on your state. So you need a state park pass in Wisconsin. And it's like $27 a year. If you buy it for a second vehicle in your household, you get that half off. So if you buy, it's a kind of a 2-for-1, but not
discount.
Yeah. And then seniors are at a lower rate. And I'm sure there's other discounts too. So anyway, hiking is very enjoyable. I think the biggest thing is people think that they may have to have, you do want hiking shoes or boots. You want something that has a little bit more of a tread on it. I typically prefer to hike in shoes or boots. I will hike in sandals if I'm going for a very familiar, shorter hike, like Teva sandals, like hiking sandals type of equipment, footwear, whatever you want to call it. But you want to make sure that you have proper footwear. First of all, this helps you keep especially hiking boots, helps keep your ankle stabilized, and that's important.
Well, you have weak ankles to begin with.
Right.
That's just I don't know if that's a technical medical thing, but you do have not as strong ankles as you would like.
Right. And that's one thing that I go to the gym. It's something I work on, but I still hike with boots on, especially for longer hikes. So you want that. You want to think about footwear for sure. Proper clothes. So you want something that's either synthetic or natural that's wicking. So that's either going to be some sort of polyester, typically blend, rayon, something like that that's wicking. It'll say wicking, moisture wicking, or merino wool. So I have a lot of stuff from different brands that are wicking. And have I hiked in just like a cotton shirt? Absolutely. But if it's colder out or if it's really hot out, I'm going to wear the wicking stuff.
Okay.
One thing that I also do is, and I forgot to put it on here, is think about chafing. So if your thighs chafe together, whether you are in a larger body or your thighs just really love each other, you might want to look into getting an anti-chafing rub for your legs, or just ensure whatever you're wearing that it'll not allow your thighs to chafe, because then you will be sad. Anti-chafing,
so basically some type of lubrication. Is that what that essentially is?
You can go to a store website or whatever, just Google anti-chafing stick, and you will find that. Like at Target, it's in the sports section for the runners. And then there's also another product, I think, in like the women's deodorant section. I'm not even sure.
Don't use Vaseline.
No, don't use Vaseline. These are like formulated to stick to your skin, but then also allow the friction to be reduced.
So some people choose to carry water, have a water backpack, have hiking sticks, have a hat. What is too much? What is not enough for somebody who's serious, like for a 4 or 5 mile? Or what? First of all, you should hike what you are capable of doing.
Yeah.
And then work your way up to whatever your goal is. What is some of the equipment you see people not using that you think, boy, it would be better if you had that because your hike would be so much more enjoyable?
One thing I know for me is hiking poles. I know a lot of people have this like idea that, oh, I don't need hiking poles. I'm a strong person. I'm so fit, blah, blah, blah. And I felt that way for a long time. And then I fell down, and I was all banged up. I was crossing this like creek, and the water was pretty low, but the rocks were slippery, and it just happened. I was being very careful, but I am grateful that I have hiking poles now. And
you can spend a little or a lot on these.
Yeah, I would say you can get a decent pair for like $40-$50, or you can go and spend like $180. But I have mine from a huge online retailer, and they were about $40, and I like them a lot. Another thing is you want to look at how the fasteners are on the telescoping mechanism. You want to make sure that they're not. I had these ones that were like
twist fit, yeah, instead of a clamping action.
Yeah.
And those didn't last very long. And with hiking sticks, as you're going up or going down in elevation, you're putting your weight, if done correctly, on those sticks, and that's taking pressure off of other joints in your body. It's acting as kind of like a shock absorber.
Yeah, and it's just offering support.
And if you're going up a lot or going down a lot in a day, that's a lot of weight taken off of your joints that those poles are absorbing for you.
Right. And so that's something you want to keep in mind. And just even from a stability standpoint, if a trail is rockier than you expected, or the terrain is different, or there are a lot of like tree roots that you have to climb over, or even like fallen trees, sometimes it's nice to have that pole to stabilize yourself. And
if you need to use it as some form of a defense, whether for animals or for somebody who is trying to do things they shouldn't, you can utilize that as a weapon too.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And they're just nice to have. And you might bring them with your hike, and all of a sudden you're like, I don't need these. You can always just tuck them under your arm. You can always, if you have a backpack, a lot of hiking backpacks have a little loop on them for your hiking poles. So there's a lot of options there as well. I would say if you are a hat person and it's sunny out, bring a hat. Otherwise, just make sure you utilize sunscreen. I would also if you know that there's ticks in the area, I would wear longer pants. If you have long hair, I would tie it up. And also make sure you use bug spray. If there's ticks involved, you want to use bug spray with DEET. And then if you hike with a pet, make sure they have some sort of flea or tick prevention, or you check them or check yourself for ticks, because that's another problem too. Like there's a state park not too far from us that has high known tick population, and it's just smart to not like go running through the grass there.
Right.
So basically, yeah. And as far as water, yes, you can bring water bottles. You can bring like I think it's called like a camel pack or something to put into your hiking backpack. I do like that, the hiking backpack thing. I think it's really convenient because you don't have to worry about, like, if you have a water bottle in your backpack, taking it out, dealing with it. You can be hands-free, especially if you are going on a longer hike. It's convenient. There's been times where...
But then if you have that, then you're able to establish a pee corner in the elevator.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Office reference.
Uh-huh. I have been on hikes where I know, like, I could have brought more water. And so if you have, like, backup water, it's smart too. Sometimes you get out there and it's sunnier than you expected, or it's windy. Being in the wind makes you feel a little bit dried out.
Well, check the forecast before you go. Check it not just for where you live, but we have the technology. We can put in where we're actually going to hike to see what that forecast, because it can vary quite a bit, just a few miles difference based on terrain, based on lakes and how hot it is inland versus lakefront, that type of thing. So keep that in mind. If you are hiking, do you hike? How would you say somebody should hike with a buddy, or at least let somebody know, here's where I'm going and here's when I'm supposed to be back. If I'm not back, something's not right.
Yeah. So typically you want to, I always look at, like, I hike a lot of the same places, but especially solo. But if it's a new place, there's different apps that you can look at. There's one called All Trails. It's an amazing app. Most people who hike know about it. It's no big secret, but it's nice you can read reviews. You can, sometimes if it's like spring or fall where maybe the trail might be muddy or something like that, people will kind of indicate that on there as well. And then it gives you an idea. This is, you might see on a map that it's a 1 mile hike. And then you're like, oh, I can do that 1 mile. But then you find out that the terrain is extremely difficult and you're climbing up lots of hills. And that might not feel so fun.
That 20-minute hike now turns into 50 or 60 minutes. And that messes up I was supposed to be back in the car to text somebody that I'm okay.
Right. So you definitely want to do a little research.
And some of these may not have good cell service either.
No, I've had that happen where I've gotten to a trail and I look at my phone and I have no service. And then I have to... I usually have to drive to where I get service, and then I usually check in with Joey, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this, whatever. And then that way he knows that what to expect. But be specific. Have a buddy, I guess, that you check in with if you are going to hike alone. I would highly suggest if you don't know, like maybe you're new to an area or you're just new to hiking, find a hiking group.
Hiking group, yeah.
Find somebody to hike with.
You are part of a hiking group, and
I lead a hiking
that has chapters all over North America.
Yeah,
is
the Body Liberation Hiking Club, and they have chapters all over North America.
Is there a website associated with that?
It's that's a good question. There's a website. I just forget exactly what it is. Hold on.
So hiking, and even if you are not part of if you go to a trail, you can see people hiking. You can if you feel comfortable, you can go up to them and go, "Hey, I'm new here," but ask questions. Also, the DNR is a good people to reach out to if you're hiking on state land. They would know, answer your questions, much like they are very good at answering questions. Like we talked about in the first segment about buying land and MFL and open and closed and wetland versus non-wetland.
Okay, so the website is bodyliberationoutdoorclub.org, and that's where you go is bodyliberationoutdoorclub.org, and you can view all of the chapters. And as Joey was saying that, yes, you should talk to your park rangers. Yep. Sometimes I've done that where I've been to state parks that I've never hiked certain trails, and I'll be like, hey, what do you think about this trail? And then sometimes there's like a better way to get to it than what it might show on the map. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so that's a good idea too.
So hiking, there you go. Things to do, things not to do. Hang out with us when we come back. Dale from YouTube channel 5 Bites will be with us. You're listening to Time by the 10 podcast.
Farm and garden in the ultimate comfort. Farmer's Defense has lightweight and durable sleeves made to protect you against the elements while farming. Farmer's sleeves offer unparalleled protection of arms and skin for any farmer, gardener, or outdoor worker. Say goodbye to irritated skin and sunburns in the garden. Their sleeves offer cooling comfort and protection against elements and outdoors. An alternative to thick clothing, Farmer's Defense is made of wicking material with UBF protection factor of 50+ to protect you from allergens and scratches. You can find all of their great products at farmersdefense.com.
Do you own property and you're trying to keep newly planted and established trees healthy and hydrated wherever they may be planted? Well, tree diaper technology can significantly increase the water to your trees. No pipes, no hoses needed. Hydrates from water, from rain, or when you water the trees. Eliminate watering altogether and let it take care of itself. Find all of the information out at treediaper.com. That's treediaper.com, and use coupon code GARDEN15 to save 15% off your order at treediaper.com. Hydrate those trees no matter where they're at on your property.
We are brought to you today by sponsor Walton's Inc. Listen, we know you care about where your food comes from, canning and preserving your fruits and vegetables. What about the meat? Maybe you hunted or trapped that meat. At Walton's, you can get all the equipment, seasoning, and supplies to make sausage, jerky, or any other product your way to your high standards. You want to make snack sticks that people will actually like? Walton's created meatgistics.com, an informational site to help you make the best finished product. They have spices, meat grinders, mixers, sausage stuffers to help you go from animal to edible. Walton's, everything but the meat. Oh, you can use code GROW50 to save 10% off orders of $50 or more.
Take those spices to the campsite with you. WaltonsInc.com. Welcome back to Time by the Tent. Happy you have downloaded the program or listening to it online. I'm your host, Joey Baird. Beside me is
Holly Baird.
Let's go to the hotline, Holly, and bring in our guest for this week.
Dale is the creator of YouTube channel 5 Bites. Weekly, he takes viewers truck camping with him to some of his favorite public campground. In his travels, he shows how to cook interesting meals over the fire. Welcome to the program, Dale.
Well, thank you so much for having me, you guys. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we thank you for taking time out of your day. And I'll start with this. You talk in your videos that in the past you've camped in a tent and then a camper, but now you choose to truck camp. Why did you choose this method of camping versus the other ones?
Well, it's I guess a multi-layered answer, for lack of a better term. Tent camp for years, yes. But I'm getting just in all honesty, I'm getting up there in age, and I have arthritis. I have a bad knee. So pitching a tent has become difficult from getting up off of the ground, just harder to stand up. I was contemplating getting another camper, but now currently I live in, a neighborhood that has an HOA. So that would be paying to store it somewhere when I'm not using it. And truck camping, I saw it online, is getting very popular. And I go, well, I've got a truck. Let's give it a shot. And I haven't looked back since. It's just been fantastic.
It definitely looks like a lot of fun and convenient. So starting campfires can be challenging. We typically use a wadded piece of paper. You use duct tape to start your fire. How does that work? How do you prepare the duct tape, and where did you learn this trick?
All right. Well, I'll go with the shorter answer to that question. Preparing the duct tape, I try to explain it the best I can from time to time on the videos. But imagine a Christmas bow. It's kind of confined, but yet with the way the ribbon's looped, there's a lot of surface area. Now, if you just compact it into a ball and try to light it, you're going to have problems. But duct tape itself is actually highly flammable, and it's been used as – I'm surprised more people don't use it, to be perfectly honest. It's a very good fire starter. But how I learned about it was about, 30 years ago or better. And it was just by accident. My brother and my cousin used to fish and camp a lot on the weekends. We'd go down there and spend a weekend camping by the lakes. And at one point in time, for one reason or another, we just didn't have anything to start a fire with. I mean, we had lighters and stuff like that, but and we used to use newspaper like you do, and no one brought any. So we're half an hour away from any place we can buy anything. And my cousin, who worked a lot in maintenance, said, "Hey, I got an idea." So he went to his truck, came back with a roll of duct tape. And my eyebrows went up. I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Tape?" And he goes, "Yep, this stuff is flammable. You wouldn't believe it." And boom, it worked like a champ. And then over the years, I'd always carry it with me. And then over the years, I just made that my go-to fire starter.
Well, some of the best lessons are the ones that are learned unexpectedly, I guess.
Absolutely.
I want to go back to your camping, your truck camping. For people who are not into camping at all and they think, a tent's expensive, a camper's more expensive, the back of the truck, well, I got to do a certain thing to the back of the truck. You really don't, do you?
There's technically no. But if you got a decent seal, well, if you go when it's not raining, it doesn't matter if you've got a good seal or not. You're just, it's more of like a safe space and keep the bugs off of you. The best suggestions I'd have is you do want some kind of padding on the bottom of your truck. Because, majority of all trucks out there, their beds are not flat. They've got those ridges in there, and that is uncomfortable. So just a simple air mattress, or actually maybe a couple of cargo blankets, just something to give you some padding. And you don't need much more than that, just some sleeping stuff. You don't have to take, all this crazy fancy camping gear. You're just going out for a night. Basically, you just need something to sleep comfortably and a cooler full of food.
Now, for you and for many truck campers, you'll camp when it's cooler out, and you'll use like a buddy heater or a space heater type thing. Do you use any of that?
The buddy heaters and the what's the butane one, the Cupid. I've seen a lot of reviews on those. The best you're going to get out of them is like 6 hours. And I'm just me personally, I'm just not comfortable having that in an enclosed space. That just concerns me.
Right.
So that's why, fortunately, here in Indiana, the state campgrounds dropped their electric site rates in half in the off season. So I carry a little tiny space heater. It's a little electric heater that I can, just bring an extension cord in through the back of the truck and plug it in. And man, that thing gets the camper part of the truck just toasty warm. There's times I have to turn it down and open windows. It gets warm in there.
And whenever you are, we found you through YouTube, and I guess it was late October-ish is whenever we discovered you. We revisited our youth from camping, and we started camping again last year. And when you start camping, and start learning things, the internet is a great thing or a very dangerous thing based on how you look at it. And that's how we found you. And you went and you had started your winter camping series. And that's kind of what we've learned a lot about truck camping. We're tent campers, but we enjoy seeing how other people utilize camping, and then we can adapt some of your techniques to our tent. Mm-hmm. And go ahead.
No, you go right ahead.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
As you camp on public campsites, for new campers, what would be two things that you would advise them to do, and what are two things you would advise public or people who are camping in the public or state campsites not to do?
Well, that's a great question. I put a lot of thought into that. One of my best suggestions, as you said, the internet is a plethora of information. Some good, some not so good. I think one of the best things I could suggest to campers is patience. Just keep your patience, because, you're in a strange environment. Not everything is going to go quite right. Struggling with getting a tent up or the campfire. But just don't let that frustrate you. And you're going to you can potentially have some camping neighbors that are a little rowdy per se, but there are quiet hours during the campground. It won't last all night, but just take a deep breath and be patient and just enjoy being outside. Second thing I would recommend is never leave your cooler outside. I think that's it has happened to me on multiple occasions. You just forget. But raccoons, I swear, they must get together in the off season and take a class on how to open a cooler, because these little devils are smart. They know how they live in the park. They see coolers all the time. They have figured out how to get into them.
So, Joey, I told Joey that raccoons are aggressive at times when you're camping, and that they will open coolers, and he did not believe me. And then there was a post in our local state park group on Facebook talking about the aggressive raccoons. So I appreciate you bringing up the raccoons, because he thought I was crazy. So thank you. Oh,
actually, sorry to interrupt. One of my videos, this was during the summer. You guys may not have seen it. I was with one of my sons came with me. And we had a raccoon come in our camp that night, because we didn't leave the cooler out, but we left some bread and a few other items on the picnic table. Just forgot about it. And it was a funny experience. But yeah, they're just waiting in the bushes for everybody to go to sleep. Here they come.
Yeah.
And they have no problem coming right in your campsite and sniffing around your tent. I've never had an issue where one was like mean or anything like that, but they don't pay you too much of mind. You yell at them, holler at them, they just waddle off.
Well, what would be two things that you would advise people to avoid when camping at a public or state campsite?
Oh, what to avoid? I don't want to. There's so many things out there. I would say I see a lot about people doing exploration and stuff like that, hiking, camping, even in public camping areas. Don't venture too far off from your campsite. Not because you're just limited to that space, but I mean, once you get up in the woods, there's a lot of things out there if you're not experienced with that could really spoil your camping trip. We had a trip where my son Alex again actually came down with severe poison ivy from the kids just going out and playing around. In the campground areas themselves, they keep it pretty clean. But once you get out in the woods, it is the woods.
Right.
Let's see. And another thing, I just enjoy myself out there so much I never stop thinking, what should you not do out there? I'll tell you one thing to make sure you do and not forget, and that's bring toilet paper.
Right. Leaves aren't as fun as the.
No. Well, these are public facilities down there, and some of them aren't overly clean. Let's be honest about it. But a lot of times they don't fill. They run out of toilet paper.
Right.
So.
Better to be prepared because a roll of toilet paper is a few ounces, and if you run out of duct tape, you can use that to start the fire too. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
One other thing about what not to do is this is a lesson that was taught to me when I was growing up, and I've seen it on other camping videos and stuff like that. You get to a campsite and it's just people leave their garbage behind. Mm-hmm. The one tip I want to give to everybody is, well, don't do that, but you want to leave nothing but tracks.
Right.
So just please police your area. You brought it in, bring it out. It's easy.
And some people, no matter what you say to them, doesn't faze them at all. And then people like us have to come in and clean up behind them to try to make things look the way they're supposed to.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Fantastic. So you've shared that you've camped with your kids, and I grew up camping myself with my family at state parks here in Wisconsin, and it's a really great memories made and things that that stick with you throughout your lifetime. What would you say are some few good camping with kid tips so that they want to camp again and they're not like, I'm never doing this ever again? What are some good comfort tips for kids?
Well, what I found was with my kids, and total 6, I wanted to involve them as much as possible in the entire camping experience. From letting them, okay, here's our campsite, and don't put them to work right away, right when you hop out of the car. Everybody stretch their legs. Oh, this is nice. This is pretty. But let them decide, well, where do you want your tent to go? And you can coax them, being
right.
the adult. All right, now, let me show you. Let's get your tent put up. How do you want your mattress or air mattress or sleeping bag? How do you want it positioned in the tent? Just make them and that's just a stepping stone. And then they can, and if possible, have them help with dinner. Not so much you're forcing them to do it, but say, hey, I need your help. And my kids just loved it. And we got to the point where as soon as we hit the campground, they're hopping out of the cars, grabbing their tents and arguing over where my tent's going here, my tent's going here. And then, who's going to help with, getting the picnic table ready and so on and so forth. And at the same time, kind of let them just be kids.
Right.
It's a new environment for them. Let them hoop, let them holler, because you want to wear them out.
Yeah.
That's a different parent. That is a parental tip. You want to wear them out.
Now, you said that each of your children had their own tent. Is that something that you would recommend, or is it more keen towards the personality or how the child reacts, whether they sleep in or?
I'll expand on that a little bit. When I said they each had their own tent, because just because a lot of people just don't know that, you're limited to how many tents that you can have on a campsite. At that time, it was 3. So we had 1 tent for the girls, 1 tent for the boys, 1 tent for the adults, and it never failed. 1 or 2 of the kids would end up in our tent anyway. So, but as far as tents in general, and you're probably being tent campers, you're probably aware of this, that if people are wanting to get into tent camping, make sure you get a tent that's 1 person bigger than you think you need.
Right. Unless you really like the person you're with.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, as you talked about your truck camping, you've done a couple of videos on YouTube in regards to what's in the back of your truck in the camping.
Yes.
Very simplistic. Some people we see on YouTube have everything that you can imagine, but yours is very simple. Would you mind going over a couple of what you take, which is not much, and that doesn't have. It can be, you can take a lot. You're hauling it yourself, or you don't have to take much.
You're absolutely right about that. There's no rules to camping. If you think you need it, you want to take it, go ahead. You're the one hauling it down there, and you're the one that have to haul it back. Now, what I have learned since I started the truck camping, if you look way back early on, I think my very first video I put out, I opened up the back of that truck. I think it's stuffed to the gills. I've gotten rid of 2/3 of that stuff now. It's just been a learning process of what I do need or what I think I need, or this is what you really need. But my setup is really simple. I've got currently, I say currently because I'm getting ready to redo my build. And I'll explain that in a minute. But currently I went out and found a twin bed with a 4-post or metal feet twin bed, and then cut the legs down so it fits over the wheel well. Because to me, party camping, one of the most important things is getting a good night's sleep. And by golly, I sleep well in the back of that truck. But I'm actually going to be switching over to an air mattress, because the one thing I have learned about truck camping, for me personally, and what I miss the most, is the ability to sit upright. Because space is a premium in the back of a truck camper. And, and I'm just a little over 6 feet tall. So, just even cutting with the feet cut down on the bed that I have, sitting on the edge of it, I still cannot sit up straight. I mean, I'm still hunched over. But I'm making some modifications to address that. That's what's great about truck camping. You can build it any way you want to. It's wide open.
And you, in one of your videos of the truck camp, you have, I believe it was a portable toilet in the back. Am I remembering this correctly?
That is correct.
Okay.
I do have a camp toilet I take with me, because it goes back to one of the reasons I am truck camping versus tent camping, with issues with my knee. One of the, in all honesty, one of the hardest things about truck camping, or difficult, is getting in and out. Mm-hmm. And at my age, there's a lot of times that especially if you're sitting around the campfire, you have 2 or 3 beers, you need to empty your bladder at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Right. That makes life a lot easier. And also a little peace of mind in case of an emergency. That dinner didn't agree with me. I have an emergency situation.
And you don't have to do a 100-yard dash or figure out where you're camping versus where the facilities are, and kind of time your travel out either.
Absolutely. And not all facilities are created equal. Sometimes you'll get a camping space that, the closest bathroom, you're better to drive to it than walk.
And is in the winter, are the facilities in your area opened, or are they closed?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
They close all the shower houses, and typically they put up a flyer as you're entering the campground that says, "This is the bathroom that's open." But typically they'll leave the pit toilets open year round, because they don't have to worry about water freezing or anything.
Yeah, it's the same here too in Wisconsin. Most of the places the pit toilets are.
I often wonder how many cell phones are in those pit toilets.
You would be amazed.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Well, we really appreciate you having you on the program. How can people find your videos again?
The name of the channel is 5 Bites. That's the number 5 Bites. But you can do a search in the YouTube search for 5 Bites Camping, number or spelled out. That usually gets in me. Or you can go to, I never thought I'd do this in my life. You can find me at www.youtube.com/@5bites. And that again being the number 5.
Well, Dale, we greatly appreciate the time you've offered us and the information you shared with Holly and myself and all of our listeners. We thank you for that.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I thoroughly enjoyed talking to you.
Absolutely. We're so happy that Dale took time out of his day to join us from 5 Bites YouTube channel. He is a very avid public campsite truck camper.
Yeah, we really enjoyed the information he shared and his tips.
Absolutely. So until next time, I'm Joey Baird.
And I'm Holly Baird.
And we will see you at the campsite.